team like Kyrie and KD. Or the Lake Show with King James and AD. Wish I could match him up with the bad boys from the 80s. But no black and white, I need that in HD. HenDawgz.
Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your boy HenDawgz, and we back to it. You know how we do it. Where my Kobe guys at? Write something in the comments right now, man, if you're part of the Kobe game. Cause I feel like I don't know what I've been waiting on. This is something I should have been binging. Was Kobe stuff, but I think I know what it was. For me, I kind of wanted to pride myself in this channel and not being as biased as possible. So like reacting to Michael Jordan and Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and LeBron James, like I was able to be very, very unbiased. And I feel like y'all like that. So in my head, I'm like, I can't really react to all the Kobe stuff I want to because I'm gonna be biased. Kobe is my GOAT. Like I have to be biased. So I think that's kind of what made me shy away from doing a lot of Kobe stuff. But enough of that, man. It's a wrap for that. It's time to start binging Kobe being Bryant, man. And hopefully I build a very good fan base off this. Like the way I built the Bird Gang, shout out to the Bird Gang. I know y'all watching. The way I built that is the same way I want to build this Kobe fan base. So if you're part of the Kobe gang, write something in the comments. Write your favorite Kobe Bryant moment. Just write some positive, good reinforcement on Kobe because I want to see it, and I want to build. Like I said, I want to build that Kobe clan up. So before we get into this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you like this video. If you like this video, go ahead and write something in the comments. But yeah. This is one of the best YouTube channels on YouTube, man. This is one of the best. I'm telling y'all, this is one of the best. If you ain't really been tuned in, then this is the perfect time to do it. You're not too late. This is really perfect timing. I'm about to hit 5K subscribers, so we're going up, man, but it's still just the beginning. So shout out to all the people that's been here from the beginning, though. Shout out to y'all, man. Y'all the real ones. Y'all the real day ones. And shout out to the new people, you know. Shout out to the new people that's just now getting in tune with what's going on. This is a great time, man. This is a super cool time. But how good was Kobe Bryant actually? How great was Kobe Bryant actually? That's what it should say. It shouldn't say how good he was. But let's get into the video. I don't really want to do too much talking. We got a 12-minute video here by Nonstop Sports, and it's going to explain how good Kobe Bryant was. My GOAT. I ain't going to say he's the GOAT because Michael Jordan is the GOAT, but he's my GOAT. I think that's my phrase that I'm going to stick with forever. And I kind of like the way that sounds because y'all can't really argue that. I can't argue who my GOAT is. That's just something that you can't do for the next person. We'll be arguing all day. But let's get into this video. We got how good was Kobe Bryant actually? Let's get
Kobe Bryant put winning over everything. He was an asshole, a hopeless romantic, and an obsessive maniac. But how good was he actually? Early life and road to the end.
Before we get into it, what does a hopeless romantic mean? I always see people saying that. I think I heard a couple rappers kind of name their songs that, but what does that actually mean? Write in the comments what a hopeless romantic mean. Does that mean like you'll never be in love? Like you'll never like actually love somebody? Is that what that means? Because I don't think that's true because he had a wife and 5 daughters and all this, so I don't think that's what that means. But write in the comments what a hopeless romantic mean.
NBA. Kobe's dad may have been a millionaire, but this didn't make Kobe's life easy. Like Will Smith, Kobe was born in Philadelphia, and his father, Joe Jellybean Bryant, played for the 76ers. After 8 years in the NBA, Jellybean moved his family to Italy to play basketball abroad. Kobe was just 6 years old, and he didn't speak a lick of Italian. Switching schools every time his father changed teams didn't help, and the cherry on top, he was the only black kid at all of them. This shaped Kobe as a person and a player. Struggling to fit in, he always gravitated towards basketball. He learned to play in isolation for hours. Basketball became his safe space, and where he could prove himself against the kids who didn't accept him. When he wasn't playing, he watched NBA games on VHS and dreamt of becoming an NBA player. When Kobe was 13, Bryant's family returned to Philadelphia. Once again, he was alienated because he didn't know American slang. He would silence those who teased him on the basketball court. Bryant was obsessive about the game from a very early age and worked on his basketball skills tirelessly. As an upperclassman, he played all 5 positions for Lower Merion High School and averaged 31 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 blocks.
Tough.
Senior.
So Philadelphia. If is there any Philadelphia people on here that's around Kobe's age that kind of remember like the atmosphere, kind of how people was talking about Kobe back then? I think this was probably 1996 was when his senior year was in Philly. How did everybody feel about him out there? Was he? I think Lower Merion was like a predominantly white school, so was he kind of like that token black guy that was super good? But yeah, just kind of let me know, how did people in the Philadelphia area, how did they feel about Kobe?
Year. He led Lower Merion to their first state championship in 53 years and was named Naismith High School Player of the Year and a McDonald's All-American. There was a huge hype about where he'd go to college. Then, Kobe surprised everybody. Bryant organized a press conference and announced that he would skip college and take his talents to the NBA. Kobe was just the 6th player in history to go to the NBA directly from high school. So naturally, NBA executives were reluctant to draft him. But after he destroyed Michael Cooper in practice, Lakers GM Jerry West knew that he was watching the best pre-draft workout he'd ever seen, and that Kobe was the best player in the 1996 draft. West was so determined to draft Kobe that he finessed the Charlotte Hornets into drafting Bryant and trading him to LA for Vlade Divac. Brash youngster. I'm Kobe Bryant, and I'm not going to get punked by anybody. That was the first thing Kobe said at his first training camp practice. He let the other Lakers know he's no ordinary rookie. Even as a skinny young kid, Kobe was fearless from the get-go, relentless in every practice and every game. Kobe entered the 1997 Slam Dunk Contest and won. His teammates lovingly called him Showboat, but it wasn't all good. In his first playoff series, Bryant famously shot 4 air balls in overtime against Utah.
I thought it was 3.
Second season, he was already averaging 15 points per game. He even became the youngest all-star starter in NBA history, but didn't start on his own team. His most memorable moments from '98 were playing against Black Jesus. MJ was impressed by Kobe on how he would unapologetically ask for advice and wasn't starstruck by Jordan. Kobe went on to finish second in the 6th Man of the Year voting. But come playoffs, the Lakers would repeat history and lose to Utah. In 1999, Kobe finally became a permanent starter and averaged 20 points per game. Though this wouldn't stop the Lakers from getting swept in the playoffs. The Lake Show knew something had to change, so they appointed Phil Jackson as the new head coach.
Okay, Phil.
Laker dynasty.
Question. Would you build a website for a major brand with more than 200 million users using Wix? Well, we did.
In 1998, Shaq and Kobe had their first fight, and O'Neal nearly decapitated Bryant. However, Phil Jackson...
Wait, did y'all know about that? Did y'all see this? I first thought it was a tattoo, but he had the stitches underneath his eye. That was because of Shaq. Shaq whooped Kobe. Write in the comments if y'all knew about that. I mean, I knew they had beef. I knew they didn't really care for each other, but I didn't know Shaq whooped him.
Was called the Zen Master for a reason. He challenged O'Neal to get into the best shape of his life, and Shaq dominated like never before. Kobe was an all-star, averaging 22, 6, and 5, and the Lakers were firing on all cylinders. They went on to win 67 games in the regular season, which was the 5th best result in NBA history. Shaq won the MVP trophy. Kobe was named to the All-NBA second team, and was the youngest player ever to be selected in the All-Defense first team. But once again, playoffs were no cakewalk for the Lakers. It was the 4th quarter of Game 7 in the Western Finals, and the Lakers were losing by 15 against Portland. Everyone thought it was the end for the Lakers, until Kobe and Shaq powered one of the best comebacks in NBA history. Bryant was phenomenal in the clutch.
Come here, Scotty.
Crossover on Scottie Pippen, and the alley-oop to Shaq clinched the game and the series.
That's one of the most iconic plays ever, man. I don't care about the Michael Jordan right to the left, or I don't care about none of that, man. That play right there is top 3 on my list. I swear. That was super iconic. I would never forget that play ever. And it's dope, man. It's dope. It's dope. I don't know how old was Kobe at this time. I think he was maybe 20 years old. Like he definitely wasn't older than 21. Like he was super young at this time. It's really crazy for real.
Their work wasn't finished. They still had the finals against the Pacers. And in Game 2, it happened. Jalen Rose had deliberately put his feet under Kobe in Game 2 and twisted his ankle. Bryant was forced to miss Game 3, and Indiana comfortably won that game. What the Pacers didn't realize is Kobe is one resilient SOB. He returned in Game 4 with a vengeance. When Shaq got ejected, Kobe put the team on his shoulders and carried them to a win. The Lakers would break the Pacers in 6 games, and Kobe jumped in Shaq's arms to celebrate their first ever ever title together.
Let's go.
However, things never stayed good for long between Shaq and Kobe. After the first title, Shaq was content. So content, he spent his summer eating burgers and drinking pina coladas. Kobe, on the other hand, spent the summer in the gym. So when he had seen Shaq in the preseason out of shape, Kobe lost his mind, and their feud started again. But Shaq...
That's that Mamba mentality, man. Like, I feel like Kobe, he never really cared about being cool with somebody. Like, that wasn't what Kobe came to the NBA for. He didn't come to the NBA to be cool with people. He came to the NBA to win. Well, first he came to the NBA to be the best possible player he could possibly be. And then on top of that, he just wanted to win. And whoever came in front of that, whoever tried to stop him from getting better or from winning, he clashed with him. So I think that's why the main reason why he clashed with Shaq. Like, Shaq was this dominant player. Like, he couldn't be stopped. But when Kobe, in the gym working 2-3 times a day, working his ass off, and he see Shaq come in late, Shaq come in with a double cheeseburger, like all these different things, and it's just like, bro, like are you serious about the game or not? And then Shaq like, bro, I don't need to be in great shape. Like, I'm dominant. I'm this big, dominant, strong guy that's gonna dunk on anybody. Like, I don't need to be this super in tip-top shape like you are. Like, Kobe has to be that way because he's a 6'6" guard. Like, you have to be that way. And I think that's why they clashed. Kobe don't want to be that player. It was another thing I seen the other day where Kobe was like, people was kind of even talking about how much of a ball hog Kobe was. And he was like, why would I pass the ball to somebody who I know is not in the gym working? Nowhere near as much as me. Like, I'm in the gym working my ass off. So when it's time for me to take this clutch shot, and I look over in the corner and I see a guy that's not in the gym, that's not working, why would I pass him the ball? So because of that, he couldn't do that to Shaq though. You can't not pass Shaq the ball. I don't care if Shaq was in the worst shape of his life. He was just too big, too dominant, too good. You got to give him the ball, and I think that's why they clashed, man. Let me know what y'all think about that.
Shaq's laziness gave Kobe more opportunities to dominate. Bryant averaged a career-high 28.5 points per game. And thankfully, once the playoffs came, Shaq was the athletic beast he was the year before, and the Lakers were unstoppable. They swept all 3 series in the Western Conference. Who would stop them from doing the same in the finals? Well, he was small, but he was a problem. His name was Allen Iverson. AI mercilessly dropped 48 in the Staples Center, stepped over Tyronn Lue, and won Game 1 for the Sixers. But Shaq and Kobe took AI's disrespect personally, and they couldn't let that slide. The Lakers came back and won the next 4 games to clinch their 2nd consecutive title. Their 15-1 playoff run was the best in history until 2017, when the Warriors went 16-1. In 2002, Kobe led the Lakers in assists, and he averaged 25 per game. Mamba made the first All-NBA team for the first time in his career, plus the first team All-Defense. He also won the All-Star Game MVP, and the Lakers...
Put some respect on my boy's name, man. Don't get me wrong. Shaq, he was the most dominant player. He was the best player on the team. But the Lakers were not winning without Kobe Bryant. I don't care what nobody says. You can give all these ups to Shaq. Like, you can give him the MVPs. You can give him as the most dominant player ever. But the Lakers are not winning those championships without Kobe, man. I don't care what nobody say. But let me know what y'all think about that.
Lakers continued to dominate the opposition until they reached the conference finals and the Sacramento Kings. The Kings were the best team throughout the season, and Chris Webber was playing at the MVP level. The Kings took a 3-2 lead in the series, and to be honest, they would have probably won Game 6 too, had it not been for one of the worst refereeing jobs in NBA history. The refs stole that win for the Lakers, but LA won Game 7 fair and square. In the finals, they quickly dismantled the Nets in 4 games. Shaq was the finals MVP for the 3rd time in a row, and Kobe became the youngest player ever with 3 championships. Okay. Fallout with Shaq. After 2000...
All right, before we get into the fallout, let's kind of talk about that Game 6 game between the Lakers and the Kings. They said it was the worst officiating ever, and I think that was the game where the ref had to go to jail or something pretty bad happened to that ref because it kind of came out that he actually was cheating for the Lakers. But I don't know all the info on that, so can somebody write in the comments a little bit more about that game? Because one of my friends, shout out to Dino, he's a diehard Sacramento fan, and to this day, he always talk about how the Lakers cheated, they had the refs on their side. So kind of somebody give me the exact information on that game. Did they really cheat? Or did it was just bad officiating the whole game? Let me know in the comments.
2002, Kobe was one of the best offensive players in the game.
Shaq.
He knew when to shoot and when to pass. The Problem was, sometimes he didn't want to pass. Kobe, being one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA, always guarded the best opposing guard in the clutch. He understood the game tactically. He had all the moves and counter moves. In 2003, he dropped 55 on Jordan. He averaged over 32 points in the playoffs.
Come here, Jordan. Come here, Duncan.
Too strong that year. The only thing that Kobe had not fully mastered was emotional intelligence and being a leader. In 2004, his beef with Shaq became unbearable. Both Shaq and Kobe acted childishly, but Kobe did Shaq dirty after discussing Shaq's marriage with the media. Ironic, because he was also going through a court case in Colorado, which proved his own infidelity. Craziest part is at the same time as his trial, Kobe was playing in the playoffs. It takes a cold-blooded individual to be facing a lengthy jail sentence and still go out to perform as well as he did. The Lakers added Karl Malone and Gary Payton, so everybody thought they would be crowned champions again. But Kobe beefed with both Shaq and Malone. The lack of chemistry showed its ugly head when it was most important. Kobe was forcing things in the finals against the Pistons. He took by far the most shots on the team, despite hitting only 38% from the field and 17% for three.
17%?
The Lakers lost in 5 games. Something had to change. So Shaq was traded to Miami, and Kobe had the chance to prove that he could win without it.
So I wonder if somebody knows a little bit more info on the whole departure. Write it in the comments. But do you think it was like Phil Jackson and I don't know who the GM? It's kind of terrible. I can't think of the GM's name off the top of my head. Was it Mitch Kupchak? But why do y'all think they was like, you know what, we're gonna get rid of Shaq and prepare for Kobe to be the main guy? Like, why do y'all think that happened? Because it's not like that could have been an easy decision, because it's not like Shaq was that old. I'm not sure exactly what the ages was when they left in 2004. Somebody write that in the comments too. What was the age discrepancy between the two? But I don't think it was that much of a difference to the point where it was like, oh yeah, we definitely need to get rid of old Shaq and prepare for Kobe, because it wasn't like that. Shaq was still, really good. He was still one of the most dominant players in the league. So the Lakers could have easily been like, you know what? We're going with Shaq. We want to revolve this offense around Shaq, and Kobe, you gotta go, bro. But they was like, no, we believe in Kobe being the guy. So why do y'all think that was? Let me know in the comments why y'all think about that.
Individual greatness. Kobe was a maniac. For all the kids out there that want to be like Kobe, here's some advice. Don't do it. Because Kobe was 1 in a billion, he ran himself into the ground to become a perfect basketball player. He was in the gym up to 3 times a day, and he wouldn't leave practice without making 400 shots. But it was because Kobe was such a maniac that he produced some of the greatest memories for basketball fans around the world.
Mentality.
In 2005, he scored 62 points against the Mavs in just 3 quarters. And 3 weeks later, he notoriously scored 81 against the Raptors, the second highest scoring game in NBA history. Bryant averaged 35 points per game in 05 and 31 in 06. He was in his athletic prime. Kobe led the league in scoring, and his highlights of that era were a thing of beauty. But that same year, the Lakers somehow missed the playoffs, and in 06 and 07, they lost to the Suns in the first round. Despite Mamba's heroics and game winners in the clutch, he still wasn't proven as a true team player or leader. Buenos dias, pal.
And I think that just goes to show, basketball is a team sport, man. Kobe is my guy. He's my GOAT. But he can't win it by himself. You can't just go out there and just think, I'm about to just score as many points as possible and I'm going to win the championship this way. Like, that doesn't happen. Give me a time where one player had that mindset and he was the main player on the team and they won the championship by him just only wanting to score. Like, I don't think that's ever happened. So we needed Powell. We needed Lamar. We needed these other players to come in and step up, man. And that's what happened. That's how he was able to get 2 more rings. So let's see how they talk about it.
Kobe's selfishness almost got him traded to Detroit during the 2007-2008 season, but that fell through, and instead, the Lakers traded for Pau Gasol, one of the best European players ever. With the additions of Gasol, Trevor Ariza, and the emergence of Andrew Bynum, the Lakers finally became championship contenders again. LA clinched the #1 seed, and Mamba was named the regular season MVP. They dominated the West and made it to the finals against the Boston Celtics. With Tom Thibodeau, a defensive mastermind, and his revolutionary ice defense. The Celtics would load up defenders on Kobe in the finals, forcing Bryant to get rid of the ball or take tough shots against multiple defenders. Kobe was the best player in the world at the time, but Boston had a better team that season, and the Celtics won in 6 games. After winning the 2008 Olympics with Team USA against Spain, Kobe left the gold medal in front of Pau Gasol's locker to rile him up for the season. He needed Pau to be aggressive. He played similar tricks on other teammates, and was finally learning to be a leader. Kobe took it upon himself to hang out socially and bond with his teammates, to learn what made them tick. He now knew he couldn't win the title by himself. In 2009, Bryant was playing the best and most mature basketball of his life. He led the Lakers to win the championship and to earn the Finals MVP award. In 2010, the Lakers made the finals once more and had a chance at revenge against the Celtics. But as usual, there was a problem. Kobe was playing with a bone spur in his ankle and a broken finger on his shooting hand.
Shout out to the Bird Gang. I know y'all gonna have something to say about this, but I put Kobe up there as far as adversity with these injuries, the same way that y'all put Larry Bird up there. You know, he had the bone spurs and the messed up shoulder and the torn Achilles, like messed up fingers. Like Kobe was not ever really playing healthy, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Him and Bird, they had that mindset where, not just them two, but I'm just gonna point them two out just for the sake of my channel and, you know, the people that's on my channel. Those two players, man, like they just, Bird had the mentality. Bird had the Mamba mentality before it was a thing, before it actually had a definition. Like, they didn't care. They wanted to win so bad. Their hunger for greatness overweighed, you know, their injuries. And hey, that's why they both top 3, top 5 all time.
You would imagine he couldn't shoot the ball well. This series, in particular, was pretty ugly. But things were different than they were years ago. Kobe and the Lakers learned to play like a team and took the series to Game 7. Kobe shot...
You gotta do this for your girl. She won't be able to keep her hands off of you.
Babe, we have got to talk about how your balls smell.
As in they smell good?
As in I never want to go down there. But I've been doing some research and...
Shot 6 from 24, incapable of like a team, and took the series to Game 7. Kobe shot 6 from 24, incapable of putting the game away by himself. But with his Mamba mentality, he'd rather die than lose to the Celtics twice. Bryant had 15 rebounds that game, and he was doing everything possible to win. Then in the last minute, Ron Artest would hit
Meta.
the Lakers prevail. Kobe got his 5th title.
Dog, Meta.
When a reporter asked what the title means for him, Kobe truthfully and sarcastically answered, just got one more than Shaq. Lakers' downfall and Kobe's legacy. In 2011 and 2012, Kobe was still his usual self, scoring and trying to win the title at any cost. But the Lakers were once again struggling. So in 2013, they traded for Dwight Howard, and Howard was a terrible fit. It was obvious that Kobe's athleticism was slowly fading. Then, as if things weren't already bad enough, it happened. Kobe snapped his Achilles, the most devastating injury in basketball. Kobe made his 2 free throws and walked himself off the court like a boss. Frustrated, he cried in the locker room, but he was still determined to come back stronger.
What year was this when Kobe tore his Achilles? Write in the comments, let me know.
Even with the Mamba mentality, after the Achilles came the knee injury. After the knee, it was the shoulder. Kobe was getting older, and in 2016, it was obvious that he couldn't do it anymore. Everything was hurting. That's when Kobe wrote Dear Basketball, his love letter to the sport. It was the best retirement announcement in the history of sports. He opened a door into his beautiful and deep personality, which only a few people knew existed. Kobe had finally let his guard down for the first time in his life. He was no longer an asshole. He was kind. He was jovial. He was giving. The whole NBA gave him a retirement tour and honored his legacy to the game of basketball. Bryant sucked for the majority of that season.
Hey, relax,
he
bro.
the ball maybe once that year. But in the final game of his career, against an
he went
opponent
crazy
fighting for a playoff spot, Kobe played one of the best games of his career. This mother effer dropped 60. He literally made every shot in the clutch, with almost no lift in his legs. And just like Jordan inspired him, he became an inspiration to millions of kids around the world who would all yell Kobe while throwing their homework in the trash.
Damn, man, that's crazy. That last game, man, it brought back some good memories, because I think that was just kind of like a teaching lesson to everybody, where, you know, you didn't have to be the greatest. You know, it was just his will to go out great, his will to go out on top. That overweighed his injuries, his lift, his age, and everything. It was everything. It was everything. So that was crazy, man. But I hope y'all enjoyed that video. Make sure y'all subscribe to the channel if y'all haven't already. Make sure y'all like this video if y'all like this video. And go ahead and write something in the comments. Write what other Kobe Bryant videos y'all want me to react to, because I'm about to binge them. I'm done reacting to all these other players and now reacting to my GOAT. So more Kobe videos coming soon. But I appreciate y'all like always. We out.